It's a little known fact that by the 5th year of teaching, at least 75% of teachers are experiencing some form of burnout and are thinking about potentially leaving the classroom. And for me, that's just too many teachers, and so we need to address this issue immediately. Which is why in today's video, we are going to be talking all about the 5 signs of teacher burnout and how to stop it before it burns you out. Because if you're able to address and recognize that you're experiencing burnout before you get to the full point and brutality of burnout, then we can hopefully fix it and make sure that you're still enjoying your time as a teacher seller, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, and all of those things. So if you're interested in figuring out how to avoid burnout and mitigate it, then please like, subscribe, and share to this channel. If you don't know me, my name's Rainey Barton. I'm an elementary music teacher and middle school musical theater teacher in Central Florida. I'm also a Teacherpreneur productivity mentor, so I help teacher sellers master their time and energy while scaling their business so that they can ditch the hustle and grind, break up with busy, and stop sacrificing their mental health. And so on this channel, we do all sorts of productivity and teacher seller tips and tricks. Productivity is Sunday, like today, and teacher seller stuff is Wednesday. So make sure to check it out and stick around if you're interested in that sort of thing. If you don't have a teacher seller business, but you want one, this channel's for you. If you have a teacher seller business, this channel's for you. If you're not a teacher seller, but you like productivity tips, it could still be for you, but just on Sundays. But with that, we're going to talk all about burnout. I asked over on Instagram what videos I wanted, what you guys wanted to see, which if you don't follow me, you can follow me at The Timely Teacherpreneur. And I put burnout on there, and I didn't think that anybody would be interested in that, and that was the most requested one. So I'm really glad we're talking about this, although it's a little sad because that means a lot of us are feeling burnt out, which is totally understandable, especially because most of us are still not experiencing a full, complete, normal year because of the pandemic. We've kind of had 2 crazy years, and then this one is kind of getting back to it, but with the Delta variant and everything, that's thrown everything off. And so I'm just going to share with you some things that I've recognized in myself over time and others that have led to burnout and how we can nip those in the bud. Because once you've reached burnout, it's a pretty low place to be in, and we want to try and fix that before we get to that place. So what sort of signs should you be looking out for if you're starting to feel burnt out? Before we talk about the signs of burnout, it's probably important to actually talk about what burnout is. Burnout is the state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and like you're unable to meet the constant demands of your job. It causes you to lose that motivation and drive that you need to succeed. It's usually a result of not allowing your body to rest and recuperate when it is feeling stressed out. It's a very energetic and very physical thing, burnout. Productivity and your energy is so linked. And what I mean by this is if you're not feeling good, then it's probably going to be fairly difficult for you to get work done. Burnout happens to everyone. I've experienced burnout on multiple occasions, and my most recent time was about a month ago. I will explain the stages of burnout in just a second, which is why you need to know what to do before you get to that stage. So let's talk about the top signs of burnout and what they look like and how to avoid them. I'm just going to list them all really quick, and then we'll dive through each one. So the first one is neglecting your basic needs, which is a lack of sleep, skipping your meals, skipping social interactions with friends. The next one is living in the land of the mental fog. Finding yourself doing endless busy work. You know what busy work is, where you're doing a lot, but you're not actually accomplishing anything. You've been writing the same email for over an hour or reading the same sales page in your book over and over and over again, but nothing is actually comprehending or processing. You're not on your game or as mentally sharp as normal, which can lead to much more mistakes in your work or take a lot longer to complete mundane tasks. And this is occurring because continued stress amplifies your cortisol levels too much, and too much of cortisol can be a bad thing. And if we don't release that cortisol, your body's going to be staying stuck in a mode where physical performance is prioritized over your intellectual ability. Another one is your irritability heightens. So as your stress levels rise, so will your ability to become a lot more irritable or annoyed easily over the simplest of things, like a piece of technology not working as planned, or somebody bailing on you, or someone emailing you saying they need something a day earlier than expected, and before you know it, you're lashing out on everyone. Number 4 is you keep getting sick. Your stress and your immune system are directly linked. Too much stress causes your body to stop producing the antibodies that it needs to fight off infections. And number 5, you're tired all of the time, no matter what you do, what time you go to bed, what you eat, how much sleep you get. It doesn't matter. You're tired all the time. I was watching another fabulous productivity coach's training a while ago, and they actually were talking about burnout. And if you keep looking, see me, I'm looking over at my notes so I don't say too much. But they said something that really stuck with me. Burnout is like a super invasive but internal injury. You can't see it from the outside like a sprained ankle, which tends to us kind of ignoring it and pretending that it doesn't exist. But what happens when you ignore a tiny injury to your ankle, the injury increases and it spreads across the entire leg like a poison. Burnout is the exact same thing. It will consume you if you don't take care of it and take the time to acknowledge that it is there and it needs the healing to do so. And I thought that was a really great analogy, because a lot of the times I will know that I'm feeling extra stressed out and I'll just try to push through it anyway, but I wouldn't do that to a sprained ankle. I wouldn't keep running on a sprained ankle. If it was hurting me, I would take the time to heal it. And it's the same exact thing you need to do with burnout, or you're never going to get it fixed, and you are going to just reach that point where you're like, I'm done, I don't want to talk to anyone, and you're going to have a mental breakdown, and that's not good for anybody. So the first sign that we talked about is kind of neglecting your basic needs and the inability to focus and listen. So if you're struggling with that, it means you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you're not interacting with your friends. No matter how long you sit down to work, and no matter what, you cannot focus on any task for more than 10 minutes at a time. You keep getting distracted reading that same sentence over and over and over, like we mentioned. And your inability to listen is at a really bad peak. So you meet a new person and you automatically forget their name because you weren't really listening. Have you ever done that? I've definitely done that. Or you're listening to a story from your coworker, and when they ask for your opinion at the end, you have to apologize for not listening to it fully, because no matter what you tried to focus in, you just could not pay attention for the life of you. If you're not able to focus in your conversations on anyone, and you're not eating well, and you're not sleeping well, and you're not able to focus for more than 10 minutes at a time, then you are definitely experiencing burnout. If you're experiencing any of those things, then the first thing you need to do is sit down and ask yourself, can I actually focus for more than 10 minutes at a time, or am I unable to do that anymore? Because if you are not in burnout, you should be able to focus for up to 2 hours at a time. That's how long the brain can do it before they actually take a break. So if you can't do more than 10 minutes at a time, then you need to lower your heart rate and your cortisol levels. Remember, we talked about our cortisol levels are that level of stress. You can take a walk, you can sit nice and tall and do some meditations, take some deep breaths, do longer exhales than inhales. That's always good for your breathing. Do a power pose, so a power stance. Doing those can actually build up your confidence level. Relax your jaw. Take a break. Just lower the heart rate and lower the cortisol levels. And that will slowly start to help getting rid of those stressful times of burnout. There's really no need to power through a brain fog. When you're experiencing a mental fog of that capacity where you just cannot focus, just do yoga, meditate, take deep, slow breaths, call a friend just to talk. Powering through is just going to result in frustration and not being able to get things done in your normal amount of time. Number 2 was kind of linked with number 1, and it was that mental fog. It can also result in you dreading the week ahead. Sometimes you might know this as the Sunday scaries. When you're approaching a new week and you automatically think, oh my gosh, I have way too much to do. How am I possibly going to get all of it done? And you're already overwhelmed before the week has even started. Your inner voice starts talking to yourself, saying things like, hey, Rainey, remember that you need to do this, and remember that, and remember this is due tomorrow, and this is due next week, and remember when you said you would do this. And it's just on a vicious loop and cycle continually going on in your head, which is both exhausting and nauseating. So if you're already feeling that when it comes to Sunday, and like, I understand teachers get Sunday scaries regardless, like I do too. The only reason I'm not right now is because I'm off tomorrow because of this wedding. That's on a Sunday. But even though we do get Sunday scaries, there's a difference between like just not really wanting to go to work tomorrow, and a difference between feeling completely overwhelmed and dreaded and ultimately defeated. Biggest thing that you can do for yourself when you're starting to feel that way is to write it all down and get it all out on paper via a brain dump. And we know that I value the power of brain dumps a lot. I have an entire video on how to do an effective brain dump, which I will link down below in case you've never done that for yourself. But get it all out on paper. You're creating space for your brain to be heard. And you're just getting all of those notions and all of those ideas out of your head so that they don't have to live there and ruminate in your mind over and over and over. And it's even more powerful if you write it first. A friend told me that your eyeballs are the first level of your subconscious processing. So what you see then becomes your subconscious and what you choose to process. So it's actually really powerful if you write out all of those things first and just get them out of the mind. And if you don't write it down, then your inner mind, your inner devil is going to keep reminding you about all those things that you have to do. So once it's out of paper, it's out of your head, out of sight, out of mind. reason that you feel so overwhelmed about all the stuff that you have to do is that you don't actually know what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. So write down everything that you think you should be doing this week, and it's going to immediately give you that sense of physical relief. Your brain is seeing the words, and like I said, it's feeling like it's been heard. You can actually sit down and decide what needs to get done. Like if it's not an absolute emergency, it can be pushed until tomorrow. And I have another video that talks about how to choose what to do on your to-do list and all that stuff. That's a really big thing that I teach inside of the Batching Breakdown, which is going to be opening soon, so be ready for that. But basically, if it's not an emergency and it's not going to cure cancer, then maybe push it until tomorrow. Other thing that you can do when you're starting to experience that dread for the week ahead is to set expectations for not only yourself, but for others. So when you're setting deadlines for yourself and others, make sure that everybody knows your expectations and your boundaries. Like, what are you willing to do? If you have to push a date back, how are you going to communicate that with others? If people are trying to get in contact with you, how are they going to do that without encroaching in on your boundaries? So making sure that you have really solid expectations of like what you expect of yourself and giving yourself grace for the things that you're not going to be able to complete. Because as try as you might, you're not going to get everything done that you want to. And having that grace and that patience towards yourself while also knowing exactly what your boundaries are and what you will and will not do is going to really help make sure that you stay away from that side of burnout. Also, with that side note, a thing that you really need to do as a teacher is keep your work at home. There is no more bringing your work home on Saturdays or Sundays. Like no grades, none of that stuff. If it absolutely has to happen, then sure, make it happen every so often. But I feel like if you start to allow yourself to bring it home at all, it's just going to start coming home every single week. And so I've made it a rule that as soon as the bell rings for after school, I leave. I don't stay longer than I have to, and I get it all done in my planning periods because my planning periods are designed for that and lesson planning. So that is the biggest reminder that I could give to you in this moment. Then we talked about irritability towards yourselves, irritability towards others, just being a lot more irritable. Irritability is coming from a place of severe exhaustion, and you need rest desperately if you're starting to be insanely irritable. Think of yourself as a short fuse. It doesn't take a lot to set you off. Now, though, more than ever is when you need to take a giant break and decompress. So you'll recognize that you're becoming extremely irritable or resentful of things when you hear these quick little comments or statements that you start to say like, ugh, I so don't want to do this today, or I still have to write this freaking email, or man, they never stop talking. When you start to hear like that, those things, that is a red flag that you need rest, because how you react to things has everything to do with you and not anything to do with the person on the other end of that conversation or the inanimate object or whatever it is. These comments are your brain's way of telling you, I need rest, give me rest. So give your brain rest. So how do you do that? By creating spaciousness for yourself and recognizing that your reaction, like I said, has everything to do with you and not with the person or the object. You hear yourself saying one of these quick and dismissive comments, immediately being able to go, oh, okay, I need to pause, take a sec, I need to go for a break. Or, okay, my brain is tired, let's go for a walk. Because rest is one of the most productive forms of activity that you can give yourself on a daily basis. And then the last one has to do with that overwhelming state of tiredness, and then that's when compromises start to take effect. So what do you mean by compromises? That's like those small comments and statements that you say to convince yourself that what you're doing is okay when you're actually procrastinating and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's things like, if I watch 10 more minutes of my TV show, then I will have the energy to write this email. Or if I do this, then I can avoid that. Or if I don't do this, then I can do that. And you start to like have those inner deals, inner compromises with yourselves. You're basically just compromising your work ethic because you're tired. And it's another way of avoiding tasks for chronic procrastination. So the way you solve this is by when you log onto an app or thing, say, why am I on this app? Am I on it for creation? Am I on it for consumption? Am I on it because I'm avoiding a specific task? Why am I on this app? Or why am I reading this book instead of writing this paper? Or why am I doing this instead of that? Or why am I doing this instead of that? By asking yourself and being fully aware of why you're doing what you're doing, you have the complete autonomy to stop it and take rest instead of pushing forward and doing things that are not ultimately going to help you and will avoid to more burnout along the way. Underlying factor amidst all of these different signs is that you're tired. As we said, literally, burnout is the dehydration of your inability to focus or your ability to stay present. So if you feel yourself thirsty, like when you're, in regular life, if you already feel thirsty, then you're already dehydrated. And if you're tired, then you're already burnt out or burning out. You need to give yourself chances to rehydrate yourself throughout the week. So when are you doing something that you love that doesn't revolve around work or your business? And when are you taking a nap? And when are you creating that spaciousness for yourself? If you're not doing it ever, then you're never going to be able to hydrate yourself. Just like for water. If you're thirsty, you drink and give yourself more water so that you're not dehydrated anymore. It's the same exact thing with burnout. You need to be giving yourself those times to replenish and refuel throughout the week so that you're not having this level of burnout. So I want you to take time to actually sit down and schedule things out in your week that you could use to hydrate yourself. Like for me, I do circus and I also read books and I also spend time with my son. So when are times during the week that you could actually give yourself something that you love to do that has nothing to do with work and nothing to do with your business so that you can rehydrate yourself? Because it's just like the glass half empty, half full thing. If you keep pouring into others, yet your cup is empty, then you're going to burn out. You need to make sure that you are refilling your cup so that you can fill others' cups. It is so important and so cliche, but if there's anything that you take away from this video, then you need to know that you need to rehydrate yourself if you ever expect to not experience burnout. So much more I could say on burnout, and we're probably going to have a couple other videos on burnout coming out throughout the following weeks and things, but I just wanted to give you a couple of signs so that if you're starting to recognize those within yourself, then you're able to go, oh yeah, I'm totally experiencing burnout. I need to nip this in the bud ASAP. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any comments or questions about burnout, please link it down below. I would love to chat further. I will know for Wednesday's video, we're going to be doing TPT store audits. So I'm finally going to be auditing 2 or 3 stores from that last video where I talked about how to audit your store yourself. So I will link that video down below in case you want to get yourself in the running, although I'm going to be filming that starting tomorrow. So when this video goes live, you have until Monday, whatever day it is, Monday the 11th to get your name in for that. I'm going to be doing TPT store audits, and then next week on Sunday we are going to be talking about millionaire habits that you need to start incorporating into your daily routines, and then after that I can't remember what the next TPT video is. Oh yeah, my teacher seller business tasks week, like how I break it down and all of that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in those videos, please like, subscribe, comment, share down below so that everybody can find us, and with that I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!